She was once the most hated woman in Britain, a royal mistress whispered about behind gloved hands and tabloid covers. But Camilla Parker Bowles didn't vanish into scandal. She rose from the ashes of public outrage to become Queen Consort, rewriting her narrative with grit, charm, and quiet determination. Born into aristocratic privilege, linked by blood to royal scandal, Camilla's early life was a masterclass in high society. But nothing could have prepared her for the storm that would come from falling in love with the future king. Their relationship, secret letters, midnight rendezvous, media leaks, and global fury rocked the foundations of the monarchy. And yet, through divorce, death, and decades of scrutiny, Camilla endured. This is the story not of a villain, but of a survivor, a woman who transformed from the other woman into a cornerstone of the modern British royal family. Forget what you thought you knew about Camilla. This isn't just a love story, it's a royal resurrection. Born Camilla Rosemary Shand on July 17, 1947, Camilla is 16 months older than King Charles III. She is the daughter of Major Bruce Shand, a decorated army officer and wine merchant who served as Deputy Lieutenant of East Sussex, a prestigious role that cemented the family's place in Britain's upper echelons. This privileged background granted Camilla access to elite social circles and influential connections from a young age. The Shand family resided at a grand estate spanning nearly 6 acres in Plumpton, East Sussex, a picturesque corner of rural England. This idyllic setting shaped Camilla's lifelong passion for outdoor pursuits. Her father, an avid huntsman, frequently took her fox hunting, a popular pastime among the British aristocracy. These experiences fostered her love for horses, hunting, and the countryside, interests that later bonded her with Prince Charles. A fascinating aspect of Camilla's heritage is her scandalous connection to the royal family. Her great-grandmother, Alice Keppel, was the discreet mistress of King Edward VII, Charles's great-great-grandfather. Alice was renowned for her charm and ability to navigate her role without causing public uproar, famously quipping that her duty as a royal mistress was to curtsy first and then jump into bed. As a child, Camilla proudly boasted to friends that her family was practically royalty due to this link, revealing her early confidence and pride in her lineage. Camilla's education reflected her family's social standing. She attended Queen's Gate School in South Kensington, London, an institution for daughters of the elite. Her peers nicknamed her Milla and described her as a tomboy, a spirited, confident girl unafraid to express herself. Her lively sense of humor and conversational ease made her a standout at social gatherings. One newspaper noted her square jaw as a young woman, an unconventional feature by beauty standards, yet her charisma, confidence, and ability to connect with others, particularly men, earned her widespread admiration. Camilla described herself as naturally curious, with a knack for getting information out of people. By age 16, she had honed her flirting skills, exuding a seductive confidence with men that set her apart in aristocratic circles. Her parents, recognizing her future in high society, trained her in public speaking, a skill that proved invaluable in her later royal duties. In 1963, Camilla enrolled at Montfertil, a prestigious finishing school in Switzerland, where wealthy young women were taught etiquette, languages, and the art of social grace. Her time there polished her poise, preparing her for the formal settings she would encounter. Despite her refined upbringing, Camilla never took herself too seriously, finding humor even in the most solemn occasions, a trait that endeared her to many. Before meeting Prince Charles, Camilla led a vibrant, romantic life. She fell in love with and married Andrew Parker Bowles, a dashing cavalry officer, in 1973. Their relationship, however, was far from straightforward. Andrew's frequent absences due to military duties caused concern in Camilla's family, who feared he might not propose. In an unusual move, Camilla's father and Andrew's brother conspired to publish an engagement announcement in a local newspaper, effectively pressuring Andrew to commit. The marriage was not a fairy tale. Andrew was notoriously unfaithful, maintaining multiple affairs throughout their union. Intriguingly, he had a serious romantic relationship with Princess Anne, Charles's sister, in 1970, though it did not lead to marriage. This connection wove a complex web of relationships between Camilla, Andrew, and the royal family. Camilla and Andrew had two children, Tom, born 1974, and Laura, born 1978. Despite the challenges in their marriage, Camilla remained a devoted mother, fostering a stable family life for her children. The relationship between Camilla and Prince Charles is one of the most controversial love stories in royal history. They met in the early 1970s, though the exact circumstances remain debated. One popular account suggests they crossed paths at a polo match, where Camilla playfully referenced the affair between her great-grandmother, Alice Keppel, and Charles's great-great-grandfather, King Edward VII. Another version claims they were introduced by Lucia Santa Cruz, a mutual friend and Charles's former girlfriend. Regardless of how it began, Charles was smitten almost immediately. Their mutual attraction, fueled by shared interests like BBC comedy shows, horses, hunting, and rural life, quickly blossomed into love. During their first year together, Charles poured his feelings into passionate love letters to Camilla. By November 1972, he contemplated proposing but hesitated, partly because Camilla's romantic history made her an unconventional choice for a future queen in the eyes of his parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. Additionally, Camilla's lack of a royal or high aristocratic pedigree rendered her unsuitable in the royal family's view. In January 1973, Prince Charles, then 24, embarked on a 7-month deployment with the Royal Navy, a duty that took him far from British shores. This period marked a turning point in his relationship with Camilla Shand, whom he had grown deeply attached to since their meeting in the early 1970s. 2 months into his naval service, Charles received devastating news. Camilla had become engaged to Andrew Parker Bowles, a charismatic cavalry officer. Charles later confided that the announcement left him utterly shattered, his dreams of a future with Camilla seemingly dashed. The engagement was a blow not only because of his love for her, but also because he had contemplated proposing, despite reservations from his family about Camilla's suitability as a future queen due to her non-aristocratic lineage and romantic past. Despite the heartbreak, Charles chose not to sever ties with Camilla. Their bond, rooted in shared passions for rural life, horses, and humor, proved unbreakable. He maintained a close friendship with her, a testament to the depth of their connection. This friendship extended to Camilla's new family. When Camilla and Andrew welcomed their son, Tom Parker Bowles, in 1974, Charles accepted the honor of becoming his godfather. This role allowed Charles to remain a significant presence in Camilla's life, even as she built a family with Andrew, laying the foundation for their eventual reunion. The relationship between Charles and Camilla took a scandalous turn in 1986, a time when Charles's marriage to Princess Diana was unraveling. Married in 1981, Charles and Diana's union had been strained by incompatibilities and mutual discontent, reaching a point of irreparable breakdown by the mid-1980s. Seeking solace and familiarity, Charles turned to Camilla, rekindling their romance in a clandestine affair that would become one of the most explosive scandals in modern royal history. To conceal their meetings, Charles and Camilla employed elaborate tactics to avoid detection. Charles reportedly instructed staff at royal residences, such as Highgrove House, to disable security alarms, allowing Camilla to enter undetected. On some occasions, Camilla is said to have sneaked into Charles's private quarters under the cover of night, with staff allegedly rearranging her bed to create the illusion she had slept elsewhere. These covert rendezvous, shrouded in secrecy, earned Charles the tabloid moniker Prince of Darkness, a nickname that captured the intrigue and audacity of their affair. The couple's intimacy was further revealed through their use of affectionate aliases. Charles called Camilla Gladys, and she referred to him as Fred. These pet names, playful and private, underscored the depth of their bond, but became a source of pain for Diana. In a particularly poignant moment, Diana discovered a gold bracelet that Camilla had gifted Charles, engraved with the initials G and F. The discovery was a crushing confirmation of the affair, intensifying Diana's sense of betrayal and fueling the public narrative of a fractured royal marriage. The affair ignited a media firestorm that threatened the monarchy's stability. The most infamous episode came in 1993, when a private phone conversation between Charles and Camilla, recorded in 1989, was leaked to the press. Dubbed the Camilla-gate scandal, the tape revealed intimate and explicit exchanges that shocked the public. The candid nature of their conversation, including Charles's humorous yet risque remarks, was deemed so scandalous that some commentators called for the abolition of the monarchy, arguing that the heir to the throne had compromised its dignity. The leak not only humiliated Charles and Camilla, but also amplified public sympathy for Diana, who was increasingly seen as a wronged figure. The fallout extended to Camilla's family. In the early 1990s, her father, Major Bruce Shand, a stern yet devoted parent, confronted Charles directly, accusing the prince of ruining his daughter's life by drawing her into a public scandal. Major Shand's words struck a deep chord. Charles, reportedly overcome with guilt and emotion, was reduced to tears, a rare glimpse into the personal toll of the affair on all involved. Camilla's involvement in Charles's life cast a shadow over his 1981 wedding to Diana, an event watched by millions worldwide. Camilla attended the ceremony at St. Paul's Cathedral, a decision that added a layer of complexity to the already fraught narrative. Her presence was a silent reminder of the unresolved feelings between her and Charles, even as he pledged his vows to Diana. Reports later surfaced that, just before walking down the aisle, Diana overheard Charles whispering affectionate words to Camilla over the phone. This moment, whether apocryphal or true, devastated Diana, planting seeds of distrust that would haunt their marriage. For Camilla, attending the wedding was a delicate balancing act, reflecting her enduring connection to Charles, while navigating the public's adulation for the new Princess of Wales. From pariah to partner, the path to acceptance. Following Charles and Diana's divorce in 1996, Camilla began to emerge from the shadows as Charles's public companion. However, her transition was met with fierce resistance. The British public, still enamored with Diana, viewed Camilla as the architect of the royal marriage's collapse. Some members of the royal family, including Queen Elizabeth II, were equally critical, with the Queen reportedly referring to Camilla as that wicked, wicked woman in private. The hostility posed a significant challenge to Camilla's integration into the royal fold. To counter this, the royal family initiated Operation PB, Parker Bowles, a strategic campaign to rehabilitate Camilla's image and pave the way for public acceptance. This involved carefully orchestrated public appearances, charitable engagements, and media efforts to highlight Camilla's warmth and dedication. Over time, these efforts softened public opinion, though not without resistance from Diana's loyal supporters. In 2005, Charles and Camilla married in a modest civil ceremony at Windsor Guildhall, a stark contrast to the grandeur of Charles's first wedding. Mindful of public sentiment, Camilla declined the title Princess of Wales, which was indelibly linked to Diana, choosing instead the title Duchess of Cornwall. Her engagement ring, a stunning 5-carat emerald-cut diamond, was a cherished heirloom from Charles's grandmother, the Queen Mother, symbolizing the continuity of royal tradition. The marriage marked a turning point, solidifying Camilla's place in the monarchy and signaling the triumph of their enduring love. Royal biographer Penny Junor has argued that Camilla's influence on Charles was transformative. She provided him with a confidence he had previously lacked, enabling him to connect more authentically with the public. This personal growth, Junor contends, not only made Charles more approachable and beloved, but also bolstered the monarchy's relevance in a skeptical age. Camilla's life has not been without personal trials. In 1994, she suffered the loss of her mother, Rosalind, to osteoporosis, a disease that profoundly impacted her family. In honor of her mother, Camilla became president of the National Osteoporosis Society, dedicating herself to raising awareness and funding research. Her advocacy has brought attention to a condition often overlooked, showcasing her commitment to meaningful causes. Health-wise, Camilla faced her own challenges. A smoker for 3 decades, she quit the habit under the guidance of Dr. Mosarraf Ali, a holistic health expert, demonstrating her resolve to prioritize wellness. Less known is her intense fear of flying, a phobia that adds a human dimension to her public persona. Despite this, she undertakes international tours as part of her royal duties, often with Charles by her side, exemplifying her dedication to her role. Since marrying Charles, Camilla has embraced an active public life, serving as patron or president of over 90 charities. Her causes span health, education, the arts, and animal welfare, reflecting her diverse interests. Known for her approachable demeanor, she frequently goes barefoot at informal events, a quirky habit that endears her to those around her. Her fashion choices, particularly her preference for nude Chanel heels adorned with a double C logo, are often interpreted as a subtle nod to Charles and Camilla, blending elegance with personal sentiment. The rapid succession of these losses left Louise reeling, her grief compounded by the Victorian court's culture of stoic mourning, which offered little room for emotional expression. Louise's letters from this period reveal a woman grappling with sorrow, often sketching mournful scenes in her private journals as a way to process her pain. Her relationships with her surviving siblings, particularly her younger sister Beatrice, grew increasingly fraught in the wake of these losses. Beatrice, Queen Victoria's favorite and constant companion, was often at odds with Louise's independent spirit. Tensions escalated amid rumors that Louise had engaged in an affair with Beatrice's husband, Prince Henry of Battenberg, a dashing but restless figure in the royal household. Whispers of the affair began in the late 1880s, fueled by Louise's close friendship with Henry and their shared love of art and adventure. Some courtiers claimed Louise confided to friends that she loved Henry more deeply than Beatrice ever could, a sentiment that, if true, would have been a profound betrayal. When Henry died of malaria in 1896 during the Ashanti War, Louise's reaction was startlingly candid. She reportedly told a confidant that Beatrice meant nothing to him, a remark that hinted at deep-seated resentment and perhaps guilt. Whether the affair was real or a product of palace gossip, it cast a shadow over Louise's relationship with Beatrice, leaving a rift that never fully healed. As Louise aged, her once vibrant demeanor gave way to behaviors that those around her described as eccentric, though they likely reflected the cumulative toll of her physical and emotional struggles. She became preoccupied with her appearance, particularly her weight, haunted by the fear of resembling her mother, Queen Victoria, whose stout figure was a frequent subject of caricature. At state banquets, where lavish spreads were the norm, Louise might limit herself to a few Brussels sprouts or a single piece of fruit, explaining to startled guests that she refused to grow fat like Mama. This fixation on thinness, unusual for a royal of her era, may have been an attempt to assert control over a life that often felt dictated by others. Her gaunt appearance alarmed her family, who noted that she sometimes appeared frail, her once sparkling eyes shadowed by exhaustion. Louise also developed a secret smoking habit, a bold act of rebellion in an era when women, especially royals, were expected to eschew such vices. She kept her cigarettes hidden in her private apartments, lighting them only when she was certain Queen Victoria's disapproving gaze was absent. Victoria, who viewed smoking as unladylike and morally suspect, would have been horrified, and Louise's secrecy underscored the ongoing tension between her desire for autonomy and the constraints of her royal role. The act of smoking, like her sparse eating, was a small but deliberate defiance, a way to carve out a private self in a life under constant scrutiny. The death of her husband, John Campbell, the Marquis of Lorne, in May 1914, marked a turning point. Though their marriage had long been strained, marked by long separations, rumors of Lorne's homosexuality, and Louise's frustration with his late-night drinking, the loss left her unmoored. At 66, Louise sank into a deep depression, retreating from public life and suffering what her doctors described as a nervous collapse. Today, we might recognize this as a mental health crisis, possibly exacerbated by her chronic pain and unresolved grief. For months, she rarely left her rooms, her once prolific sketching and sculpting reduced to sporadic, melancholic doodles. Her siblings and friends worried that the fiery princess who had once defied an empire was fading into solitude. Despite her struggles, Louise never entirely lost her spark. In her final decades, she settled into Kensington Palace, where she became an enigmatic but cherished presence among the younger royals. To Princess Elizabeth, the future Queen Elizabeth II, and her sister, Princess Margaret, Louise was Auntie Palace, a nickname that captured her quirky charm. Now in her 70s and 80s, Louise delighted the young princesses with tales of her adventures. Some true, others embellished with a mischievous wink. She regaled them with stories of her Canadian travels, her artistic triumphs, and, in hushed tones, hints of long-dead lovers whose names she refused to divulge. Elizabeth, then a serious and curious child, was particularly captivated by Louise's irreverence, once recalling how her great-aunt would sneak a cigarette during tea and blow smoke rings to make her giggle. Louise's interactions with the young royals revealed a softer, more reflective side. She no longer sculpted grand statues or hosted radical gatherings, but she remained a storyteller, preserving her legacy through the memories she shared. Camilla's love for animals is a defining trait. She adopted 2 Jack Russell Terriers, Beth and Bluebell, from a rescue center, and her affection for them is evident in her advocacy for animal welfare. These dogs, often seen at her side, have become beloved symbols of her down-to-earth nature. Camilla's children, Tom and Laura Parker Bowles, are among her staunchest supporters. Tom, a food writer, has described his mother as extraordinary, recalling cherished memories such as trips to McDonald's, which highlight her ability to balance royal obligations with a relatable maternal warmth. Laura, an art curator, similarly praises Camilla's strength and humor. Their admiration underscores Camilla's success in maintaining a close family bond despite the pressures of public life. Camilla Parker Bowles' journey from an aristocratic girl with a scandalous royal connection to Queen Consort is a remarkable tale of resilience, love, and reinvention. Her romance with Charles, though marred by controversy and public vilification, endured through decades of challenges, proving the strength of their bond. With her wit, charm, and adaptability, Camilla transformed her image from the other woman to an indispensable pillar of the British monarchy. Her contributions, from charity work to stabilizing Charles's personal and public life, have redefined her legacy, cementing her place as a figure of enduring significance in royal history.